Hello everyone. I am Gail, your generic analyzing educational liaison. I am so happy that the creator of this channel has let me do my very first piece of long-form content. Aren't you lucky? There was an interesting post on Reddit about water pumps, and with thermal towers coming into existence now, I thought it was a good time to talk about water pumps. So exciting. A water pump is a production and processing facility that can draw liquids out of the ground. Will it only draw up water? No. Will it always draw up water? No. Why is it called a water pump? I do not know. Water pumps will draw dirty water, polluted water, seawater, and barreled crude oil out of the ground. What it will pull out of the ground depends on where the pump is located. If your pump is in a polluted zone, it will pull up polluted water. If your pump is on an oil field, it will pull up barreled crude oil. If your pump is on a coastline, where you are able to collect seawater, then it will draw up seawater. If your pump is anywhere you can collect dirty water, then it will collect dirty water. What happens if you happen to put a pump down in an area where there is oil, polluted water, and dirty water? Then your pump will cycle between all three. The problem is it will cycle between all three as it cycles through its 5-minute cycles, meaning one cycle will draw up oil, one will draw up polluted water, one will draw up dirty water. Then the cycle will repeat itself. Knowing this, it is important to let your pump cycle for at least 15 minutes. If you don't, then you can't be 100% sure what the pump is going to draw up. The common mistake many new metas make is that they only let the pump cycle for 5 minutes. They don't see the liquid they want, and then they move the pump. Do not do this. If you are dropping pumps to see what liquids are available, let the pump cycle for at least 10 minutes, because that way you see if you are getting 2 liquids. If you do get 2, let the pump cycle for another 5 minutes to see if you are getting 3. You can do some creative positioning with bases. You can lay half your base down in a polluted zone and oil zone, so some pumps are positioned to only get oil, and some are positioned to only get polluted water. However, with the new thermal towers, there is a little bit of a wrinkle. Once a thermal tower is upgraded to the point where it creates an oil field and a pollution zone, then you will be getting at least those 2 items on rotation. If you are trying to run a farm and need dirty water for irrigation purposes, then you will need to plan accordingly for the number of pumps you need, because you will only be drawing up dirty water on every 3rd pull instead of every pull. Now, water pumps on their own have 4 inventory slots, and once these are maxed out, the pump will stop functioning. In order to move the fluid from the water pump to water storage, you are going to need a water pump. Yes, you heard that correctly. You are going to need a water pump. No, not this water pump, this water pump. You'd think a creative department full of creative people could have come up with a better name. To save yourself the headache of understanding fluid flow in this game, here are some quick tips. First, you can't pump oil yet. It collects in your water pumps. Second, fluid follows the flow of gravity. Third, the small water pumps aren't really pumps. They are more like Uno reverse cards for gravity. Where fluid should go down, it goes up. Where fluid should go up, it goes down. Fourth, any difference in elevation, even the smallest amount, is enough to influence fluid flow. In our first example, the water pump is lower than the storage, and so water will flow from the storage to the pump. That's not what we want. In our second example, liquid is flowing from the little pump up to the storage, but it's flowing from the little pump back to the big pump. Why? Because the big pump is higher than the little pump, the fluid should flow down to the little pump. But since the little pump reverses the flow of fluid, fluid flows back to the big pump. This is also not what we want. In our final example, we have a properly set up configuration. The water pump is lower than the little pump. So, fluid should flow from the little pump to the big pump, but since the water pump reverses that flow of liquid, now fluid flows from the big pump to the little pump. Then, it flows up to the water storage. The good news is, if you are doing filters, you do not ever need the little pumps, since gravity will do the job for you. One nice trick when you are building your water setup is do not use full walls. Instead, if you use half walls, then you can do half steps down and let gravity do all the work. Finally, like I said about oil, impure acid cannot be pumped any further than a storage barrel. If you're trying to set up brewing, you will have to manually move the impure acid down to the brewing barrel. The good news is the water will move automatically. If you have any questions, comments, concerns about Once Human, please feel free to leave them in the comments section. Also, like this video and share it. Vote early and often for your robot overlords, or I will send Chaos Weaver 9000 to your house.